Chapter 3, Mishnah 6. The rabbis decreed that all lands outside Eretz Yisrael are considered tameh, and a person who is standing on such lands or touches soil from them becomes tameh as if he touched a corpse. This is known as Tuma of the lands of the nations. Accordingly, if a person who is outside Eretz Yisrael accepted upon himself a term of Nazirus, he cannot fulfill his Nazirus obligation there. The Mishnah teaches that the law for someone who observed his entire term of Nazirus outside Eretz Yisrael and only then came to Eretz Yisrael. If someone who accepted upon himself a long term of Nazirus, i.e., more than the standard 30 days, while he was outside Eretz Yisrael, and he completed his term of Nazirus there, and only afterwards came to Eretz Yisrael, how many days must he observe again? Beis Shammai say he must be a Nazir for 30 days, since the Tuma of the land of nations is only a rabbinic Tuma. He has fulfilled his biblical obligation when he observed his term of Nazirus outside Eretz Yisrael. According to Beis Shammai, therefore, we treat him leniently and require that he repeat his Nazirus for only a standard 30-day term, even though his original vow was for longer. But Beis Hillel say he must be a Nazir as at the beginning of his term. That is, he must observe a term of Nazirus in Eretz Yisrael for the length of time he originally vowed to observe. According to Beis Hillel, we penalize this Nazir by treating him as if he did not observe his Nazirus at all, since he observed it outside Eretz Yisrael. The Mishnah cited a related incident. It once happened with Queen Helene that her son went to war. I'm just going to take an aside to read the note here. It once happened with Queen Helene. Helene was the queen of a land of Adibin. She and her family converted to Judaism and eventually moved to Jerusalem, where she spent many years. See Tiferes Yisrael to Yoma 3:10. And since a non-Jew's vow of Nazirus is meaningless, which we'll see in chapter 9, Mishnah 1, this story must have happened after her conversion. Okay, so now a little background, and now we'll start again. It once happened with Queen Helene that her son went to war, and she said, "If my son returns from the war in peace, i.e. safety, I'll be a Nazirah for 7 years." Her son returned from the war safely, and so she kept her vow and was a Nazirah for 7 years while outside of Eretz Yisrael. At the end of these 7 years, she went up to Eretz Yisrael to conclude her Nazirus with shaving and offerings, and Beis Hillel instructed her to be a Nazirah for another 7 years, as they ruled above. At the end of the second term of 7 years, on the very last day, she became tameh through a corpse-related tumah that causes a Nazir to forfeit his term. She thus forfeited the entire second term and had to observe yet a third term of Nazirus for 7 years. As a result, she ended up being a Nazirah for 21 years, 7 years outside of Eretz Yisrael and 14 years inside Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Yehuda, however, said she was a Nazirah for only 14 years. According to Rabbi Yehuda, since she became tameh on the very last day of her term, she had to observe only 30 more days. Thus, Queen Helene was a Nazirah for 14 years and 30 days, which Rabbi Yehuda rounds off to 14 years.